Fear not, citizens, because hope has arrived, because the Amateur Otaku is back, and we are talking more My Hero Academia Manga. In this second part, as we try to get caught up with the My Hero manga, we are talking about the fall of the House of Todoroki, Part 4, which captures chapters 387 to 390 of Kohei Horikoshi's amazing hero slash villain manga. Here, Mike and I talk about the different parts of the tragedy of the Todoroki family and where the book has taken the story of the Todorokis as Dabi escapes his fight against Shoto to try and have a final bout with his old man in Gunga Village. We talk about the expansions of quirk lore and the developments to this amazing storyline and all the characters affected by it. Thank you for joining us and for getting us very close to 200 subscribers. We love you, we thank you, and make sure you like and subscribe to this channel to make sure you don't miss any more My Hero content or anime content overall. Here's our conversation on the fall of the House of Todoroki. Enjoy.
Let's get into it. We got to talk about the fall of the House of the Todorokis.
Yes, that is the first part. Yes, the fall of the House of Todoroki. It is great. I for those that want to follow the crazy
Great
idea that I came up with, yes. I mean, it's tis the season. The reason I put part 4 is because structurally in the story, I think it makes sense because the first big moment of because as we as readers and watchers of the anime have been chronologically been exposed to the tragedy within the house of the Todorokis is part 1 was when Bakugo and Deku were invited for dinner at Shoto's house. That was that first moment, that first glimpse of how bad things really are. I mean, we've known
so long ago too. Wow.
that, yeah, we do know that things were not good from since the moment we meet Shoto. But that's kind of where we see how it impacts the entire family. So we saw that. Part 2, which I titled The Book of Revelation, according to the villain Dabi, is of course Dabi's dance, where he reveals who he is to the world, which we talked about a lot. The internet blew up when that happened. Like that was like one of the biggest moments of the last season. And then of course we have Sibling Rivalry by Flashfire, which is the battle between Dabi and Todoroki, which again, one of the best panels in all of My Hero occurred during those chapters of that fight. And then an Atomic Summer in Gunga Village, which is what we're talking about, which is part 4. It covers chapters 387 to 390, which is Atomic Dabi firing up on his way, just chasing Endeavor out of Gunga. And what a powerful, powerful, powerful moment. Not just that Endeavor is already, he's more than ready to give his life to save everyone, to actually die a hero. But it doesn't matter how long it's been running. One of the biggest thing is the fact that the entire family shows up. That Ray shows up, and you get that flashback of Toya saying, "You're guilty too, Mom." And then you have Natsu, Yumi, and of course we know that Shoto is on his way. But the idea that the entire family, in one way, shape, or form, accepts that they had a part in creating the demon known as Dabi. That to me is brilliant storytelling. I really enjoyed it. That was a twist for me. I wasn't expecting that. When that happened, how was it for you?
It was interesting. I feel like the Todoroki stories is the one that I've enjoyed the most and the least, mainly because we're all smart people. We kind of knew Dabi was Toya once Toya was even introduced. Even before that, it's just like there's not that many fire users in the show, So
yes,
it was more of a fire.
He's all burned. Toya died in a fire. Yeah,
the episode that Dabi's introduced, he knows who Shoto is. And you can shrug that off as, well, the sports festival just ended, so he probably saw him on TV. But it's like, no, it felt like he knew who Shoto was, and Shoto didn't know who he was. So it's like, that's going to be something. So it was more of a sense of relief of like, I'm glad this is kind of wrapping up, because as much as I love the storyline, that fight between Dabi and Shoto just took forever to kind of get through. When the family showed up, though, I'm glad you mentioned it. That's a great touch. And I think My Hero Horikoshi's really good at acknowledging comic book tropes and like manga tropes of like, yeah, Shoto is bearing the weight of his family. It's like it's up to him to complete this mission, to pay for the sins of his parents and atone for that, as opposed to them being adults and accepting responsibility for their own actions and like dealing with the consequences of their own actions. It again, Naruto references are on point. Like Sasuke should not have had to go after Itachi at the age of 11. You know, it's like Shoto should not be out here having to fight the evil brother he didn't even know, because like by the time Toya leaves, Shoto's like 5. You know,
and already being destroyed like Toya was.
Right. So I appreciate Horikoshi like acknowledging those tropes of like, yeah, this is gonna be a family issue. They're gonna have to resolve this together. I want to know, what do you think is going to be the final piece of this puzzle? Because we do cut away and we don't entirely see the resolution. Like we have a good stopping point for it with Dabi and Shoto, but like, what do you think happens next? Does Dabi die? Does he go to prison? Does he get redeemed in some way, or is he just too far gone?
Well, it's crazy because he's coming apart, but I don't think Dabi makes it beyond this. Just like I don't believe Endeavor remains a hero after this either. You know what I mean? Like I think definitely we are teasing that the hero representation of the Todoroki family is going to be Shoto. It's not going to be someone else. You know what I mean? I would even endeavor to say that he might take up the name Endeavor because of the resolution within his family. Like, because it would, to me, that would be poetic in the sense of him accepting the past and the fact that his family was able to find a way to move on and grow closer and be reconstructed. There's no other way to actually bring that much closure than for him assuming that. So that Endeavor still remains a symbol of peace, because in spite of the errors, he did accept responsibility and did the right thing at the end of the day. You know,
thematically, that also makes sense because Ingenium is a part of this story, and we know he took on his brother's name. After their encounter with Stain.
Yep. And the funny thing is that Shoto is the only member of Class 1A that doesn't have a hero name, because he chose to not take one and just call himself Shoto.
Well, I think he did. Like, I think the point of that was Shoto's so basic that he did make his hero name his actual name. I don't think that was him not choosing one. I think that was like, I don't care enough, so it showed up.
See, but now I see it as deep, Mike. Okay. Let me change the narrative. No.
I get you.
No, but you're right. He's a bit of a.
I really like the touch of Rei being involved in this too, because for the longest time, she's been portrayed as a victim, and she was like of Endeavor's.
100%
and wrath and passion, however you want to phrase it, what was ever going on at that time. But it, again, that's just the manga being smart enough to be like, yeah, she was very much a victim, but she was also an adult who could have made her own decisions and could have helped change the tides that entire time. So that's another reason why I kind of wish Horikoshi completely resolves this plot line, because there's still one thread kind of like remaining of the what's next, like the epilogue of that story, because I want to know what her role is, what Natsuo is, right? Because Natsuo is also here, and he's, of all the children, he's like the most detached, because he just wants nothing to do with any of this. And like those are the things, like, you won't really get an answer until we're at like the last chapter of this entire story, because that's the epilogue. But yeah, I think he did a lot of cool things with these characters in this story, And I really like that the family has to be the ones to kind of resolve it, and the burden doesn't just fall on Shoto. And I really love All Might's connection to it, of like, we forget All Might's the source of inspiration. Sorry if you hear Max in the background, he won't shut.
You mean
But
Deku?
Deku, yeah, he's back here crying as usual. But All Might's the source of inspiration
Amazing.
for the big three of this series, right? And we know that with Deku. We really know that with Bakugo lately. So the reminder of, Shoto also looks to All Might for strength and wisdom too, and having All Might and Ingenium
All Might inspired
right
that by the way, the whole thing about the ice jet plane, and the whole science behind it, like, that was badass. That was just great. And Lita just going, I just want you to know you're helping me become who I want to be. I hope you get to do that too. Like, those little moments are like, you're hearing.
You're hearing You Say Run. Ida's character, like that's they low-key might be the best friendship in the entire series, Ida and Todoroki, because they're so wholesome and they keep pushing each other to be better. It's great. It's the most wholesome rivalry in all of manga, honestly.
It's like you have the most horrible type of rivalry with Bakugo and Deku, and then you got the best shill version of that, literally. Now, I before we move on to the next one, I do want to talk about this, because to me, it's something that it has been explored with other characters. It's something that has been hinted at with other characters, right? But we get a different type of context here. Is the idea of bloodlines, the doomsday theory when it comes to the quirk singularity or whatever, about them getting more powerful. But they added something to the mix, which I don't believe that it has been explored this way, but I might just not remember. The idea of not just stressful situations, but also near-death experiences, causing awakenings of new quirks, or crazy expansion of new quirks.
Because the thing that we explored in the war arc. Bakugo gets more powerful as he's about to die fighting Shigaraki.
I think that's one of the first ones that we see, because we see a little bit with Anima, but he's not in a near death, but he's just, the stressful situation causes him to...
gets a quirk awakening too, when she's about to die in My Villain Academia, and she can now use the quirks of the people she's masquerading as. So we've seen it a couple times.
But I like but I like the whole thing, how that connects to Toya having Rei's quirk. How it was always there. And and the fact that that was what was keeping his body together as he's just flying, chasing Endeavor. And I kind of like how that's actually a thing that's just been, now it's happening with all the members of Class 1A in a way. So it makes me think, does Deku get that too? I mean,
Deku's quirk awakening may have been unlocking these other quirks, to be fair.
Could be, but I have a theory, which I'm going to share towards the end. I'm going to keep it in my back pocket.
I want to just acknowledge the master class of storytelling that Horikoshi did with that. We know that Dabi's, like, we know from when we were first introduced to Dabi being Toya, which happened this like past season for reference. We know that they make reference of he has like a quirk defect because he's got Endeavor's powers, but he's essentially has like Rei's body, in the sense that he's very resistant to cold, but that's why he's burning himself. His body can't handle the flames. He's not flame resistant. And so I love that Horikoshi planted that seed hundreds of chapters ago, only to be like, oh yeah, by the way, that's why his body was built for cold, because he has that quirk latent deep within inside him, which I think is it doesn't feel like an ass pull, right? That very much could have felt like, really, this came out of nowhere. But if you were paying attention, you're like, oh yeah, that checks out. That makes sense.
No, and it also makes Shoto a lot more unique as well, because he's not built like Toya. He literally is half hot, half cold. Half of his body can withstand it. The other half withstands something different. And man, like you don't see him doing both elements interchanging hands or sides of his body. So I find
So
that
far.
interesting as well. Stop it.
Saying.
That would be interesting. That would be very interesting. So what's gonna happen? He just gets yellow hair or something? He goes because he can't stay with
The hair might stay the same. I mean, has anybody's hair changed after a quirk awakening? I don't think so.
No, I don't
So
think so either.
yeah, he might just keep the
Yeah.
half and half, and now you can go back and forth.
Yeah. So those are our thoughts. You got anything else on the fall of the House of Todoroki Part 4? Good sir.
No, I just need to know where's the rest of it, which is again, I get the hypocrisy of me saying it went on too long.
But at the same time, you're saying it was great storytelling, and now you're going like, now I'm gonna have to wait a year to know if to know if Toya survived.
Yeah.
But here's the thing.
Go ahead.
No, are we gonna be mad? I mean, it's not like it's not like he's as important as Bakugo.
Ooh, pain. It again, that's what I mean by the drawbacks of this type of storytelling. It's like I'm invested in it, but also it's gonna take a year to get back here.
Well, at least we'll probably find out before the last book of Game of Thrones comes out.
Goody. That'll be in like 20 years.
Thanks again for joining us on this video on My Hero Academia Manga. If you love what we do here at the Amateur Otaku Podcast, please make sure to click that like button, subscribe, and click on the bell for notifications so you don't miss any more My Hero Academia Manga or anime content in general, because there's a bunch of anime that we cover weekly that we love covering and love chatting with you guys about on the chat. Stay tuned to the channel, because next week on My Hero Academia Conversation, we will be talking about the great encounter within the war arc between Himiko Toga and Oshaku Uraraka / Uravity. This is a great fight that was coming, a great dialogue, and great character moments for both of these amazing ladies of Koro Horikoshi's magnum opus. So join us next week as we talk about Bloody Love on My Hero Academia. Have it awesome, stay awesome, and remember always, go beyond plus ultra. Peace.